The closing date is one of the most underrated parts of any offer. Most people don't give it much thought, they pick a date, move on, and don't realize how much that one decision can affect their entire closing. After closing hundreds of real estate deals, one thing I can tell you is that some of the most stressful files I've worked on were because of bad closing dates. So if you're buying or selling a home in Ontario, I'm going to give you 3 things to remember before you agree on that closing date. My name is Zachary Soccio-Marandola. I'm a real estate lawyer here in Toronto, and I help people like you close real estate deals every single day. Now, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you subscribe and join our community. And if you have a closing coming up, we've built the most transparent legal fee calculator online. It gives you a full breakdown, even calculates closing costs like land transfer tax and title insurance. That's linked in the description below. Now, there are 3 things I want every buyer and seller to think about before agreeing to a closing date. These come up in real transactions all the time, and getting them wrong can turn a straightforward deal into a stressful one. So let's get into it. Tip number 1. No weekends or holidays. This one might sound obvious, but we still see it happen. You really can't close on a weekend or a statutory holiday in Ontario, and that's because the land registry system is only open Monday to Friday, and banks are not processing transfers or releasing mortgage funds on a Saturday. So if your closing date falls on a weekend or holiday, your deal is not getting completed that day. Now, the real problem isn't just that the date doesn't work, it's what happens next. If the closing date in your agreement of purchase and sale lands on a day when the registry and banks are closed, we need to amend the agreement to a new date. And that amendment is a whole new negotiation with the other side. It requires both parties' agreement. So one side might want it a little earlier, the other might prefer it later. Now you're back at the negotiating table after you thought everything was firm and agreed to. Things get even more risky if either party has had a change of heart. Maybe the market has shifted, maybe the buyer found something they didn't like about the property. That closing date gives them something to point to, and it creates an opening to be difficult that really shouldn't exist. So the message here is simple. Check a calendar before you agree to the closing date. Make sure it's a regular business day. Watch out for long weekends, holiday Mondays, especially the stretch between Christmas and New Year's when the registry is closed for a certain period. Get this right from the start so it's never a problem. Tip number 2, don't buy and sell on the same day. If you're selling your current home and buying a new one, you might think it makes sense to schedule both closings for the same day. One move, one day, everything lines up. In theory, it sounds efficient. In practice, it adds a lot of risk to your closing. And that's because most of the time your new purchase depends on the funds from your sale. When you sell, the proceeds from that transaction are what fund your down payment and your closing costs on the new property. So if your sale is delayed, even by a few hours, your purchase gets delayed too. And if your purchase is delayed, the seller on that deal is now waiting on you. It's a domino effect. Now imagine the lender on your buyer's side is slow releasing funds that morning, or there's an issue with a document on the sale that needs to be corrected. These things happen. And when both deals are on the same day, there is zero room for anything to go sideways. So what can you do instead? You have 2 options. You can sell first, arrange short-term accommodations for a few days, and then close on your new purchase with the funds already in hand. Or you can buy first and use bridge financing, which is a short-term loan that lets you access the equity from your current home to fund the purchase before your sale closes. Now, most major banks offer this solution. Either way, the goal is the same. Leave at least 1 business day between your closings. That 1 day of buffer can make a big difference between a smooth closing and a very expensive scramble. Tip number 3, the risks of Friday closings. Now, Friday is a popular closing date in Ontario, and I get it. You finish work, you close on the house, and you've got the whole weekend to move in and settle. It makes sense from a lifestyle perspective, but here's the problem. If anything goes wrong on the Friday, the next business day isn't Saturday, it's Monday. That means any delay that would normally cost you 1 day now costs you 3. And if that Friday happens to fall before a long weekend, well, you can be looking at 4 or 5 days. Now think about that, what it actually means in dollars. If there's a delay in funding on your purchase and you can't close on time, typically we need to negotiate an extension. You could be on the hook for mortgage interest, property taxes, utilities, and because of that weekend, you're looking at 3 times as much in costs. Now, on the seller side, there's a cost most people don't think about. See, when we're preparing the closing documents, we include a per diem for the mortgage payout. So that's the daily interest your lender charges on your outstanding mortgage balance. Now here's how this works in practice. Most banks have a cutoff time, usually around 2 or 3 p.m. If they receive the payout funds after that cutoff time, they treat it as received the next business day. And because we can't control the exact timing of when funds arrive from the buyer side and when funds arrive in the bank's account, we almost always add 1 extra day of per diem as a buffer. Now, if the funds happen to arrive early and the bank processes it the same day, they'll refund the difference directly to the client. But more often than not, funds come in after that cutoff, so that extra day of interest applies. Now, on a Monday through Thursday closing, that buffer is 1 day. On a Friday, that next business day is Monday, so that buffer jumps to 3 days of per diem automatically. And if you're looking at a long weekend, it could be 4, even 5. So if you have a large mortgage, high interest rates, that's a few $100s coming out of your proceeds just because of the day that the closing was scheduled. So those are the 3 things to remember. No weekends or holidays. Don't stack your purchase and sale on the same day, and think twice before choosing a Friday. A little thought on the closing date before you sign the offer goes a very long way. It's one of the easiest ways to set up your deal for a smooth closing. Now, if you're enjoying these behind the scenes real estate law videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I post a new video every week. And if you're a realtor, I also send a weekly update about different legal situations that come up in our closings. That's our realtor newsletter, and you can subscribe to it with the link down in the description. Thanks for watching.